Nowadays, Henry Cavill is an actor that his face would probably be recognized by anyone on the street, since he has so much iconic roles in his career. This career that took off in the last 15 years, but in the beginning, had more failures than successes. In the 2000s, he came to be nicknamed the unluckiest man in Hollywood, simply for being rejected in all the auditions he did. But everything changed in January 2011, when he was cast as Superman in the movie Man of Steel. From that moment on, Henry signed a contract that, although it brought him a lot of fame, recognition, and money, also delivered terrible work experiences, humiliation, and frustration. In this video, you will see how Warner disrespected him for years and, after everything, manipulated him, leaving him in a very unpleasant situation. My name is Gabriel, and you are on Superhero Journal. Henry Cavill began taking an interest in acting when he was just an ordinary English child in the 80s. His drama teachers were impressed by his aptitude and encouraged him to focus in the field. Thanks to them, when he was 17 years old, Henry got the opportunity to audition for the film The Count of Monte Cristo. And so, skipping his last year of high school and leaving his hometown for the first time, Henry began his acting career. He didn't have immediate success right from the start. Cavill worked in small roles, trying to make connections and gain experience. But a few years later, he got the opportunity to audition for truly big roles such as Batman, James Bond, and Superman. His name wasn't well known, but after failing all these auditions, the newspapers of the time dubbed him the unluckiest man in Hollywood. It took 5 years for him to have another chance to play his favorite hero, and this time, he didn't fail. Henry Cavill was finally cast as Superman, and his life would change forever. But the job wasn't exactly what he had imagined. Henry Cavill has always been a nerd, reading comics and playing video games in his childhood, and this didn't change in his adult life. He admired Superman for his qualities and values of hope, justice, and honor. But Zack Snyder, the film's director, had a darker vision for the character. Instead of being a symbol of hope, his Superman had doubts about his role on Earth, was constantly depressed and flirted with an evil side. But even though he had creative differences with the director, this was the least problem he had. Cavill portrayed Superman in Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. But after that, for some reason, Warner decided not to make a sequel to his solo film. In fact, for 5 years, the DC Cinematic Universe had rare appearances of Superman, and when he appeared, he didn't have a face because they didn't renew Cavill's contract and used his stunt double to fill in the gap. The reason why Henry Cavill was discarded by DC is still unknown, but he managed to land other memorable roles like Geralt of Rivia and Sherlock Holmes. The truth is that he never got over not being able to portray the ideal Superman he grew up admiring, and this hope ended up being used against him. In September 2022, Henry Cavill was invited to make an appearance as Superman in the movie Black Adam. But now, things at Warner were totally different. The company had just merged with Discovery. A new CEO took over everything, and the president of DC Films, who was the main antagonist to Henry being Superman, was ousted. With this change of leadership, The Rock, who had previously been told no about bringing Superman into his film, was now allowed to hire Henry Cavill. But things weren't entirely clear. Henry signed a contract to appear in a post-credit scene of Black Adam, which would set up his future in the DC universe. And in this future, they promised him films where he could be a classic Superman like in the comics, optimistic and a symbol of hope. But even though he hadn't signed a contract for a solo film or anything beyond Black Adam, they asked him to record a video saying he was back. And so Henry did. In every interview, he said he was happy to return to the role and that the future would be promising and many things would happen. But what he didn't know was that they had lied to him. Black Adam didn't perform well at the box office, and The Rock, who had promised to bring him back, simply pretended nothing had happened. 2 weeks after the film was released, James Gunn was appointed as the new CEO of DC Studios, responsible for creating a new DC universe in cinemas with new actors. Henry had a meeting with James Gunn and discovered that he would not have a future as Superman in the DC universe, as the new Superman would be younger and the people who had promised him that were no longer in charge. To make matters worse, Henry had given up his role in The Witcher and intended to focus 100% on this, but unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. There are rumors that Cavill will play a character in the Marvel Universe, but nothing is certain yet. Henry is now invested in another project. He is working as an executive producer on a project to adapt the Warhammer 40,000 game universe. Not that he is going to stop acting, but now he might have more creative control and ensure that the original material is respected, unlike what he experienced before.